Well, hello, free people of the Rocky Mountain region, and welcome to this Free State, Colorado video. Today, I'm joined again by Josh David, the primary creator and maintainer of Liberty Tools. Well, Josh, I hope you are well, and thank you for joining me.
Brandon, thanks for having me back.
Well, we had such a fun conversation last time talking about Liberty on the Rocks. I'm excited to hear about your new project, Liberty Tools. So, Josh, what is Liberty Tools?
Yeah, so Liberty Tools is my project to try and create a freedom library for all tools that can be used to advance human freedom. So that's going to be a wide range of things, right? But I wanted to have one sort of centralized place where people could go to find stuff. So this kind of started with a privacy journey that I went on, and I was frustrated that I couldn't find one website to find everything. So there is a website out there called privacytools.io, which is a really good resource, but they're a little bit limited. They only kind of stay within that privacy space, right? I wanted to do a lot of other things that sort of went with that, that weren't specifically just privacy. And additionally, they're a little outdated. So I wanted to have a project that competes with them that is also a bit more up to date on some of the best privacy tools that are currently in existence.
Nice. Yeah, I love your tagline here. So we got the website shared on the screen for people. LibertyTools.io is where you can find this. Liberty Tools is a library of resources for the pursuit of individual freedom. I mean, that is definitely a worthy goal there, Josh. Seems like a big goal to have as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one of the things with this site is we're really trying to embrace the idea of crypto anarchy as opposed to politics. And the idea of crypto anarchy is all about writing code. It values free speech, privacy, and digital currency. Those were sort of the three things that the cypherpunks and crypto anarchy really valued. And so those are the sort of things that I want to highlight as sort of this alternative method of pursuing freedom. So if we look at things like Bitcoin or like Julian Assange and how he ran his website, with leaks that he did through encryption, that was sort of the goal here, was trying to have one place that people could come to look at a lot of those kinds of things. So that was like the original goal. And then we wanted to expand it. So, we've got a whole bunch of other categories here that just expand to all things liberty.
Nice. Well, I think, that is so important to find avenues towards liberty outside of politics. I know you've seen it probably as well as I have that we get some good libertarians getting involved, getting active, and they pursue that political route, and don't get me wrong. If you know me, if you know Free State, Colorado, I find it high value in getting involved in the political level at that local space. But nonetheless, you see good pro-liberty people, some good libertarian types get involved, get burnt out, stop participating. You never see them again a couple years later. So actually providing an alternative avenue for people to pursue liberty, to get involved, and to actually do something to increase human freedom outside of politics. I mean, that's so important, probably more now than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. That was 100% the goal. We appreciate everyone that is fighting the political fight, but I felt for me, and in a lot of cases, it's not the best way to achieve freedom. And it's definitely not the best way to achieve freedom for the individual. If you want to be more free, opting out of the financial system, opting out of these controls, that's going to give you more freedom directly. Whereas, if you are out there campaigning all the time and door knocking, it doesn't really do much for you directly. Maybe you get someone elected, they can do some cool stuff, but it doesn't do much for you. It's sort of this bigger macro picture. And so with some of these tools, we can look at sort of a micro picture, right? Individuals empowering themselves. And also, it doesn't have to be binary. You could do both. You could do political campaigns, and you could use encryption, and you could be super private, and you can use open source technology, and you can use all sorts of other things that we have listed on the site. So we just wanted to try and put as much stuff on the site as we possibly could that advances liberty in any way. So that's really what the site is advancing liberty in any way, although the focus is more on the sort of crypto anarchy side.
Nice. Well, we got the website pulled up here, libertytools.io. Kind of walk us through some of the categories here. I see kind of on the left side, there's a like basically kind of like a menu of the different pages or different kind of resources available. So maybe highlight some of these for people.
Yeah. So real quick, I just want to mention, so this site, when I built this, one of my goals was to do this as private as possible and as open sourced as possible. So if you notice, the layout is pretty basic, right? It's not like one of these pages like Wix or Squarespace, where they really handle a lot of that for you. This, is, you're a little bit more limited. We're using an application called Hugo, that's hosted on a Swedish server, through a privacy company in Sweden, and we pay Monero with no name attached to host all of this. Same thing for our DNS. Our DNS goes through a company called Njala, which is actually founded by one of the founders of the Pirate Bay. They're super privacy focused. We pay them in Monero, and we don't have to give them any kind of legal name. So every aspect of this, I wanted to kind of live this goal and make sure it lived up to my values. So to that end, the site is not always the prettiest site. It's something I work on in my fair time, and we're working on a little bit of redesign to make it a little bit prettier. But that being said, the site is very functional. You can find everything you need. It works very well. It's basically just a wiki. So yeah, as you can see on the left-hand side there, we got all of our different categories. So the top one there, affiliates, those are different companies that I have used personally, and that we have some referral links. So that top one there, Start9. Start9 is a local company here in Denver. I know the CEO well. We're good friends. My wife actually used to work there, conflict of interest. But we platform them at Liberty on the Rocks, which is my other project. And they're a really cool company, right? They're helping make home servers easy to run. So servers are what run the internet, and those servers are mostly run by big corporations that hate you. So it's not that hard to run your own server if you're technical, but if you're not technical, it can be a little difficult. And so that's what Start9 is trying to do. So that's one of our favorite companies. You get 5%, a 5% discount if you use our discount code, and we get a small little kickback. So that's what everything on this page is. Federated.computers, similar kind of thing. It's another local company that does what Start9 is doing. It's just you don't own the hardware. Cloaked is a privacy service. Hushed is a VoIP service. So Hushed is what I use for my VoIP service to make my phone service more private than going through a traditional company like AT&T. It's also a lot cheaper. You can spin up a lot of different phone lines. Alphabar, another local company here in Denver. So those are our affiliate links, some of our favorite companies, and you can help us out a little bit by using some of our affiliate links there.
Oh, very cool. That's
Yeah.
great. I love the sense of community. You have some good pro-liberty organizations here, businesses that you can kind of, recommend and then all
Yep.
working together to further this mission. I love it.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. So then we got all these other tabs. So whatever you're interested in, we got agorism, COVID, defense. So COVID's kind of an interesting one. It's less of a hot button issue today, but if you see on the right hand side there, we have basically more links within links. So you can see at the top there, anti-COVID orgs, and then we have fake mask websites. Not really a big need for that now, but that could come back at some point. So if you click on that one, that'll take you to the section where you can purchase fake masks. I think there's two different companies that are still selling fake masks. I think they're still in business. I might have to double check that one, but that's one option. You can check some metrics for COVID metrics. That's on the side there. Medical drug purchases. So like during COVID, it was difficult for people to get things like ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine. So those are a few different places where you can get those things. There's also people who are injured by the COVID jab. There's a few different things on there that will, some like recovery protocols. Let me see that. Yeah, vaccine injured support there at the bottom. So there's a cool little section for that. So it's all these different things that I was finding. I was just adding them all to a list and slowly getting them added here, and then just throwing a brief description for anyone who's interested in any of these topics.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I mean, how important would is this, especially back in during the 2020, 2021 time? I mean, to have this kind of
Yeah,
resource is super valuable. So creating this infrastructure now for whatever comes in the future to have this
yeah,
resource, I mean, I can see the value here for years and years to come.
yeah. Yeah. So if you go to we got that defense tab there. That's all basically gun related, mostly 3D guns. So we got a bunch of different links there. That one I think speaks for itself pretty well. Mostly 3D guns, some education, that sort of thing. DIY firearms, how to build your own. We also did a recent talk at that on Liberty on the Rocks, all about 3D gun printing. And I think that's sort of like a big part of like this crypto anarchist philosophy is, seizing your own means of production, essentially, of creating guns that you can create these high level technical guns at home. That's your Second Amendment right, is to use firearms. Well, you should also have the right to build firearms and to know how they work. And so that's mostly what this particular section is. There's some other stuff in there too, but as you can see, it's all on the right hand side there. There's some training stuff, some merchants, some gun ammunition, that sort of thing.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Love it. Awesome. What are some other highlights here?
Yeah, so my favorite one is probably the privacy tab, just because that's kind of what started this. Is I really went on this privacy journey, and so I started finding all these different things. You can kind of see how long that one is over there. There's a lot there, and I know this site can be intimidating for some people. I've had people tell me that there's just so much here, right? Because it's, I think the site has about 2,000 links last time I checked. And that's growing all the time. And, sometimes I have to remove them if some of these projects go down, which is unfortunate. But privacy is really cool because there's a lot of tools that you can use in here that won't have any major impact on your life. So yeah, if you look at, like, say, that browser section right there, all these different browsers that you can use for different privacy functions. So like the Molvad browser is really cool. That's a new one. That's by the VPN company Molvad. They're one of the best privacy VPNs that you can purchase them with Monero. They don't log any data, and then they put out this browser that doesn't track you in any way. And then you can compare that with all these other browsers here. Brave is a good one, been around for a while. LibreWolf is another really good one. And then we got some more old school things like Firefox. And then that one down there, Decenter, is sort of a more speculative one. It's sort of like a blockchain-based project. And then at the bottom there, you see privacy test. You can click on that one, and then you can compare all your different browsers in terms of how private they are in different categories. So that's another thing I tried to do as much as possible is like, here's a tool, here's someone who did a what's it called, a review of that tool. So a review or comparison, and start linking to all those things, and trying to keep up with like modern trends. And then right below that, browser exposure check, same kind of thing, where you can check the kind of your information that's being leaked to the public. And so those are just a few options. Then you got like, private messengers, you got file encryption, firewalls, internet service providers, all these cool different things that you can do. Browser extensions, another big one, all these cool, interesting tools. uBlock Origin, you can block a bunch of pop-ups and ads on your machine, which also makes you safer and more private. And it's also just annoying to have 1,000 ads. So if you can get rid of those, that's a nice thing. And then there's all these other things that you can see here. Most of them are privacy focused. Some of them do some other things, like Watch on Odyssey was kind of a cool one. Odyssey was this alternative to YouTube. So if you install the Watch on Odyssey app, anytime you go to a YouTube video, it would tell you if this video was available for you on Odyssey. So you could watch it on Odyssey, which is the more freedom respecting video content platform over YouTube. So
Cool.
yeah, there's all sorts of crazy things like that. Like there's so much here, it's hard for us to talk about everything that we can do with all these tools just in one call. So, and then
Yeah,
some
for
computer
for sure.
manufacturers that sell Linux right there. But sorry, go ahead.
No, no, no. I was going to say this is awesome. I mean, what a great resource. You could definitely spend a lot of time here, but it seems like a great place to start for somebody who wants to have that better level of privacy, better level of liberty in their lives. I mean, this is really empowering for individuals to get this information
Yeah,
and start making some real difference in terms of protecting their data, really.
yeah, yeah. So then on the opposite side of privacy, we got that OSINT tab over there. Um, Yeah. So OSINT stands for Open Source Intelligence. It's basically just how to find information on the internet. And here's 1,000 tools that you can use to help you find more information. So I look at OSINT as the inverse of privacy. And OSINT can be particularly useful if you're investigating governments, right? So like in this current hurricane situation, maybe you wanted some information about some of the local, some things that are happening there. There are some tools on here that can help with like geolocation, physical camera access. You can track like weather patterns, that sort of thing. At the very top here, I've got AI artificial tools, so things like ChatGPT, but more unique tools and more freedom respecting ones. So if you go to that freedom focused AI tools, we got some cool options there. So like Venice is an alternative to ChatGPT that doesn't store your data. And it's run by basically a crypto anarchist, my friend Eric Voorhees. That's his project. It's a pretty cool one. You can pay for a subscription with crypto if you would like to. But the main thing is it doesn't store your data, and it's not harvesting all of that and going to send it back to Google or OpenAI or one of these companies like that. So right below that, you got GatGPT. That's a project of Cody Wilson. That is basically ChatGPT for how to make 3D printed guns. So that's a pretty cool one. Last I checked, that one was still in beta, but that's a really interesting idea. There's a few more like that too. So you got Lisa, Libertarian Intelligence, same thing. It's sort of a libertarian focused one. Alex AI, which is Alex Epstein. So you can ask it all sorts of questions about climate change. Is climate change doing this? Is it doing that? Is oil killing the world? And it's probably going to tell you no. Whereas if you go to ChatGPT, it's going to tell you yes. So now some of these things have their biases built in. They tell you that up front. So that's what some of these things are. So like those are just kind of some cool tools that you can get there. And then a lot of these other OSINT tools are like security focused tools that you can find for like your own security or checking like if you've been hacked. There's a few things like that. Is there a particular section you want to look at?
I think it's really cool, like the exploits
Mm-hmm.
section there. You can see, look for exploits and what does that mean exactly?
So there'd be like, so an exploit is basically how you hack. So usually it's referred to as a CVE. So when they find a vulnerability or an exploit, um, that gets published in a big database, and those things get remediated or patched. But until those things are patched, you're vulnerable to getting hacked. So that's actually how most hacks work: is they look for these vulnerabilities from bad software, and then they get into your company that way. Now, if you have other good security practices, it can bypass a lot of that, but that's the main way that it happens. So, like, let me see, I think with Volmon, you go there and it's going to list here's all the current vulnerabilities and things that you might be susceptible to. So kind of tell you when this thing came out and what systems are affected by it. So it's more useful if you're trying to hack, to be honest, or if you run like a big, a company, or like you're responsible for a lot of systems, you need to make sure everything's up to date. Um, it's going to be more useful for that. A little bit less for individuals. For individuals, just make sure you're behind a router. You got a good firewall going and keep your stuff up to date generally.
Nice. What about this geolocation and physical camera access? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so you can see a lot of them are pretty self descriptory. So like at the top there, all area codes. So you can, if you need to check any area codes in the U.S. or
Wow.
Canada, you can go there instead of just googling it. EarthCam, same kind of thing. That shows you different live streams that are available for free. Acre value, find land by acreage, gives land breakdowns. So most of these are like pretty straightforward. Moon Calc tracks moon shadows and eclipses. So there's a lot of people on Twitter that do essentially OSINT. So like if you've ever seen it, people will post a video of themselves for like 20 seconds, and some crazy person's like, I can tell by the shadow on your face that it's this time. I can tell by the plant in the background you're in this part of the world, the architecture this part of the world, that kind of thing. So they use a lot of these kinds of tools to find that. So it's
Very
really good
cool.
if you're a legit journalist trying to verify sources and that sort of thing. You can use a lot of these kind of tools for that.
Oh, very neat. Very neat. What about this mail addresses? What is that?
So this one, so
Okay,
anything
fine.
regarding, yeah, email. So
Oh, cool.
yeah,
Okay.
I remember.
Nice.
Yeah, so like reverse email lookup, you can find information about anyone's
Oops.
email address. And a lot of this can be used if you're like a privacy advocate to harden your own defenses, right?
Right.
So that's one of the things I use. I use a service called Delete Me, which basically deletes you from all these data brokers. So it deletes your address and your personal information, and so a lot of people will have a much harder time finding you. So right now, if I were to go to one of these data brokers, pay them a little bit of money, put your information in, I could get your address. That's almost a guarantee that I could get your address based
Wow.
off just your name and a rough idea of where you live. And that's true of almost everyone. So unless you take extra steps to get all that removed from the internet, it's available to anyone who wants to pay a small fee. And there's ways to do it for free. But yeah, so I did that for myself. I used a service called Delete Me, which removes me from about 60 of these data brokers, and it checks on a regular basis to make sure I haven't been re-added. So anytime you purchase a home, for example, your information gets sold to these data brokers. So you pretty much have to do this anytime you move. Um, it's pretty gross, but this is what happens. So I've tested it multiple times since I removed all of my information, and I can't find myself on any of these sites anymore. Whereas I also tested it before I ran the service, and I could find myself. So
Wow. Well, how do
yeah,
you keep this up to date? Because like you said, you have thousands of links here and you have so much,
yeah,
do you have to physically like check them all, or is there a way that you can just
yeah.
somehow
So I,
check to see? Yeah, go ahead.
So I've got basically two methods. So one is this application that I self-host. It's called Uptime Kuma. And it basically what it does is it just pings a website. So all it does is to check, is the website online or offline? And if it's online, it does nothing. It checks every 10 seconds, basically. If it's offline, it sends me a message on Telegram to let me know the site's been down. And then I go check it. So now the problem is sometimes these sites will just go down randomly at night and I get Telegram messages. So
Mm,
you can kind of change that the window. So that's what I do for some of the sites that I care more about. Is I basically just not manually because but I manually put them into a system and then I get notifications if they go down. And then there's a few paid services that you can run your site against that will track every single link and let you know what's up or down. And so, I use some of those for mostly just the paid version or the free versions to track all the links that I have. And one of the problems is sometimes the links go down for a week and then they're back up. So that
Oh,
is a difficult thing. And so basically what I do is for any of these sites that I think might come back, I'll put those into my manual system, which is called Uptime Kuma. And then if it ever comes back online, it'll notify me, and then I can go and put it back on the site.
oh wow,
So
that's pretty
yeah,
cool.
basically you just kind of code each one of these out, right? So I go on the admin side, and I just put some comments on the side of it, and it just disappears. So it's still there, but the user can't see it. And then if it comes back, I just go in and remove those, and then it's visible again. So it's definitely kind of a manual process. It's a lot of work. And you will sometimes run into some links on here that are not active anymore. And I have a few on there that I just left in there. There's a few on, I think it's the front ends, the privacy, which are privacy front ends, that section. The apps don't really work anymore because they were based off APIs by Reddit and Twitter. And then when they close those, you can't use them anymore. So there was an application called Knitter, which was basically a privacy front end for Twitter, which let people use Twitter without having a Twitter account. That doesn't work anymore. So the link is
Oh,
still on the
gotcha.
site. You can still go try to use it, but it just doesn't generally work anymore. So, and I just try to note some of those things, in case this becomes a thing again. Knitter was a tool that used to do that. So
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, no, I love it, man. I mean, this is great for, somebody who wants to use Twitter a lot. You can get on here and you find some great tools to help you use the platform a little bit better or
Mm-hmm.
in different ways. Same with TikTok, Telegram. So really neat. I mean, this really seems like it's got something for everybody.
Yeah.
Anybody who's get that pro liberty or pro privacy mindset. Seems like there's
Yeah.
a lot of cool tools, a lot to explore on this website. Wow. How long did it take you to get this all together, Josh?
So it kind of varies. So now I might be a little biased, but this OSINT tab I think is probably the best OSINT list on the internet. Now,
Nice.
I'll be honest, I copied a lot of this for OSINT specifically. The OSINT tab and the hacking tab, I found other really good sites and I copied their information and put it here. And I do link to them at the bottom. So there's a bunch of links of other sites that track all these things. The problem is so many of these they're so hard to remember. A lot of them there'll be a random GitHub page. So it'll be GitHub and then a random string of characters or something like that. And it's great, tremendous information, but no one's going to remember this. And I would just kind of stumble on these things all the time. And then I'm like, this is great information. Let me take this information, put it on my site. And my site's super easy to find, libertytools.io. It's super easy to remember. So a few things like that, like the OSINT tab and the hacking tab specifically, I found some other really good lists that other people had created. And then I just sort of took their stuff and put it here. And then I linked to their sites to, try and give them a little bit of credit. But then for everything else, it's kind of hard to say, because I've been in the Liberty space for so long. I've been aware of a lot of these things, and sort of the niche that I do well is I know a little bit about a lot. So I also work in IT. I work in cybersecurity. So a lot of these tools I was keeping a list of just for myself for work related purposes, and then I kind of realized at some point, oh, I can repurpose these for this project. That was sort of the original motivation for it. But then there's other things I'm super interested in too, like health. So the health tab is a lot of companies that I use or companies that I think are really cool. Is approaching health from a more unique point of view, right? Not going with a lot of the mainstream crap, like muscle milk protein or whatever. Like a lot of that stuff sucks. So I try to look at it from a much more holistic point of view and a much more naturalist point of view, and trying to find these companies that are doing something a little bit different on this health tab. So yeah, a
Very
big part of
cool.
it is just these are things I know, things I follow, and I've been following them all for years. And once I kind of came up with this idea, I was like, I've got so many things that I can put on here. And then I probably spend too much time on Twitter, and I run across these cool companies and all these cool projects, and I throw them on here. So and then sometimes people will send me links. So yeah, people have really cool, interesting ideas, just shoot me an email, contact@libertytools.io. Um, yeah, or they can message me on Twitter, and then I can get stuff added on here. People want to write reviews for any of the links on here, same thing. I'd be happy to put them on there. Or if they already have reviews on their site, I'm happy to link them. We're basically just an aggregator for all tools that can advance human freedom as much as possible.
That's awesome. I mean, there's so much information out there, because that's the part of the problem out in our world today. You
Yeah.
look and there's just a sea of information. How do you sort it out and how do you get the good stuff, right?
Right.
So you're doing the work for us, getting us all this information. So if somebody has an interest in one of these topics, hey, Josh has already kind of found some of the great resources for you on this subject. Check out libertytools.io and see what's out there. I mean, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So I'm glad you have the email link there because that's what I was thinking. I said, well, I run into stuff all the time, and then you forget about it, right? There's so
Yeah.
much information out there. Find something really cool, so to be able to send it over to you if we think it fits on the website, that's an awesome idea. I really like that.
Yeah.
So
And so
cool,
then,
cool.
yeah, some other cool tabs, money, pretty much all about crypto. There's a few other things there, but recommending like the best wallets and like interesting crypto projects, different ways to host your own nodes, different ways to acquire crypto, um, some like privacy aliasing service for dollars, for your bank account, that sort of thing. It's yeah, it's all here. There's all sorts of options. You can see a lot of sections. This is one of our bigger tabs. And then in like some cases, I've been trying to put information, right? So like for some of the Bitcoin wallets, there's this wallet called Samurai Wallet that got taken down back in May. So if you go to, yeah, I think it's under Bitcoin wallets. So there's Samurai Wallet. And so I linked at the bottom there, Samurai Defense. There's a little link there, so you can click that. If you want to go support Samurai Wallet's legal defense fund, I've linked to them. They got arrested essentially they're accused of money laundering. It's kind of a ridiculous case. They never took possession of anyone's funds. They were just providing privacy, but they're dealing with that legal case. And so, I put the notes in there that about what happened with that wallet. So like if you click on that link is broken, and I note that in there. So same thing, that hopefully it will come back up at some point. And then at the bottom there, I have a link to their defense fund. So anyone who wants to go support them can do that. And so as much as possible, I try to put like those kinds of links in for any of these projects.
Very
And
cool.
then, yeah, another thing that we do want to do at one point is start putting things we specifically don't recommend. There's a few different projects in the Liberty space that are kind of grifting a little bit. There's oh, I forget the name of it, but there's one that Tucker Carlson had on the show. I forget the exact name. I think it's the Up Phone. I'd have to double check on that, but it's the CEO is Eric Prince, who is one of the, I believe, co-founders of Blackwater, and Tucker had him on the show. Now you're going to get a lot of conservatives who think that's a good project, and unfortunately, it's not. The Freedom Phone is another similar one. Candace Owens was back in this one a year or two ago, and those are not good projects. The Freedom Phone it's not open source, and there's basically no information about how it actually works. So it's a source I definitely wouldn't trust. There was another one. I'm trying to remember what it was called. I forget it, but there was a few Liberty influencers that were going hard on this one, and it was a terrible application. And then somebody did a big review, and basically I more or less hacked the company, found out they were lying about everything. Converso, that's what the app was, Converso. And so that app pretty much disappeared after that. And so I don't want to name names, but there was two Liberty activists in particular that were really pushing that one on their podcasts, and then it just kind of disappeared, and it was a terrible project, unfortunately. So that's another thing that
Nice.
we will do at some point too.
I like that idea. Yeah, having like holding that standard up. Liberty Tools could be like that consumer reports type of
Yes.
advocacy group to say, hey, is this a good pro-liberty project? Should I buy this thing or subscribe to this service? Well, let me check Liberty Tools first to see what they say about it. That's pretty cool. I love that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is great, man. This is like the evolution of this Liberty community and all this work you put into it. I could see this being a great resource for people. Really a lot of good stuff on here. Definitely encourage people to check out libertytools.io and see
Mhm.
what they can find and look forward to seeing how it evolves over the years too and all the new plans you have. And I gotta say, Josh, too, I love how simple it is. I love the color scheme, the gold and the black and the white. It's
Yeah.
very clean. It's not cluttered. There's not little pop-up ads everywhere or graphics, slowing down my browser. It's very straightforward, very easy to use and very clean. I think that's,
Yeah.
maybe that's going to come back in our new internet age where things are a
Yeah.
little bit more simplified rather than getting more and more
Yeah.
complicated.
That was the goal, was to keep it pretty simple. We do want to do a few more things, but again, it's a little difficult on our current platform. But there's a few things I want to do, like basically just a little logo, like a Bitcoin logo and a Monero logo for anyone who takes Monero. So you'll just see that little Monero M, and you'll know right away these guys accept Monero. So a few things like that, and then eventually, like some of these apps that you have to run yourself. I want to have their logo basically for like Start9, right? So if Start9 supports this in their app store, we'll put that logo on the project. So like BTC Pay Server would be an example. That's how you can host basically like a Bitcoin node, or you can actually use Monero or a bunch of other cryptocurrency tokens that will give you what's the word? It's like uh, uh, a cash system essentially. So like if you wanted to cash out, you can click on that. It'll ask you, which currency you want to use, and then it will generate a new Bitcoin address for you every time. That's BTC Pay Server, and you can host that in Start9 and a bunch of other places. But
Wow.
for someone who's not technical, that's kind of difficult to do. So we would put like the logo for Start9, and so that would essentially mean that this app is hosted in Start9. That's going to be a lot more work. I would have to figure out probably a way to automate that to a certain extent. But that's one of the things that we want to do. And so we'll make it a little bit prettier in that sense, but we still want to make it pretty simple. Want to emulate privacytools.io a little bit. They have a few of these little categories. They have an open source logo. Is this thing open source or closed source? So I want to kind of add that here as well. So again, you can look at any one of these things, and by default, you'll know open source or closed source.
Very cool, very cool. Well, I really appreciate you sharing this project. Hopefully, people, use this tool, get online at libertytools.io, check it out. I think there's so much value here. I mean, it's pretty cool. Really excited to see these projects from people in the Liberty community, especially yourself, Josh. You're such a leader here in Colorado in our Liberty community. So, really thankful for all the work you do and this new project. I mean, man, keep it up. This is awesome stuff, and so cool that this is here that you're here in Colorado. So, really appreciate you. Any final words or thoughts here?
Brandon, I appreciate it as always. Appreciate everything you do. For anyone who's interested, follow us on Twitter at Tools Liberty. We will be on Nostra at some point. We're not yet. I'll get us up on there soon. And then if you guys want to support us, we got a couple different addresses there. You can support us with Monero, Bitcoin, Ethereum. You can also support us by buying shirts on the merch link on the bottom, and then affiliates. I will be adding more affiliate links to that page. If there's anything you're interested in there, just use our affiliate link. You guys save a little bit of money too. And then we make a very small amount. And that's pretty much it. We don't have any other revenue models other than those. So otherwise, it's a labor of love.
Love it. Well, awesome. Well, keep up the good work, Josh. Appreciate you. Definitely encourage people to check it out. I'll keep checking it from time to time, see what's on there, and wish you the best. Hope to talk to you again soon. Keep us updated any new developments.
Will do. Thanks, Brandon.
All right, take care.